Hello there, you are about to hear about Italo Calvino, which is who I am. Relax, concentrate, dispel every other thought. Let the world around you fade and listen to this A-plus documentary. The documentary begins as I did, in Santiago de Las Vegas in Cuba. My mother, Eva, named me after my Italian heritage, which is belligerently nationalistic. To make matters worse, when I was 2, my parents had moved me to Italy. My parents, Mario and Eva Calvino, were botanists, so naturally we lived on a farm. Italy boasts around 5,500 different vascular plant species. This appreciation for scenery and fauna found in San Remo is referenced in much of my writing. I loved climbing on the trees and would spend afternoons reading in them. I knew from a young age that I wanted to write, and this made me feel like an outsider in my own family. I always struggled to communicate with my father because of this. I was enrolled in the University of Turin and felt pressured to pursue agriculture because both of my parents were professors of agriculture. I continued to keep my true passions for writing bridled. I started reading the anti-fascist works of
Elio Vittorini and Cesare Pavese,
to mention a couple. After transferring to the University of Florence, Germans had succeeded in occupying Liguria. To avoid serving the military, I went into hiding. My mother encouraged my brothers and I to join the Italian resistance in the name of natural justice and family virtues. My name became Santiago, and I joined the communist Garibaldi brigades. I endured much fighting in the Maritime Alps until the liberation in 1945. My mother and father were held hostage by the Nazis because I refused to join them. They even went as far as to pretend to shoot my dad in front of my mom 3 times. After the war, I settled in Turin. I decided to write for my university's magazine, and before I knew it, my childhood hero, Vittorini, published a short story of mine. After my graduation, I wrote short stories and worked at a publishing company. My career put other childhood inspirers like
Cesare Pavese,
and Ernest Hemingway into my path. My first novel was The Path to the Nest of Spiders, which won the Premio Riccione. The Crow Comes Last was a collection of short stories, also based on my wartime experiences. World War II not only gave me inspiration for my literary pursuits, but deepened my commitment to communism. I joined the Italian Communist Party and took an active role in politics by being an editor and a correspondent. I wrote 3 realist novels, all of which would bust. After this failure, I realized that I was writing what was expected of me, so I started writing what I thought I would have liked to read. I became a modern fabulist. I also had an affair with Italian actress Elsa Di Giorgio.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
After the 1956 Soviet invasion of Hungary, I was disillusioned and decided to leave the Italian Communist Party. My novels changed to reflect this change in me. I wrote The Baron in the Trees based on the problem of intellectuals' political commitment at the time of shattered illusions. In 1959, I visited the United States for 6 months after being invited by the Ford Foundation. I was impressed by this new world. I visited California and the South, but I felt like New York was my city. I met a beautiful Argentinian translator, Esther Judith Singer, and married her in 1964 in Havana. We settled down in Rome, where my daughter Giovanni was born in 1965. I worked for Einaudi again, publishing some short stories in a literary magazine. Then, in 1966, Vittorini died. I ceased to be young and went through an intellectual depression. I moved to Paris with my family. At this time, there was a cultural revolution happening, and I joined the Alupio, a group of experimental writers. I accepted the Asti Prize and the Feltrini Prize for my writings in the early 1970s. I also published some short stories and contributed to the Italian newspaper. I was made an honorary member of the American Academy and received the Australian State Prize for European Literature in 1975 and 1976. I also started giving lectures around the world. I was also awarded by the French the Legion d'Honneur in 1981. On September 6, I was admitted to the hospital of Santa Maria della Scala and died September 19, 1985 of a cerebral hemorrhage.